These are watch dials that cost more than most cars, and 9 out of 10 get thrown in the trash before they ever see the inside of a watch case. This is the world of Grand Feu enamel, the métier d'art technique that represents the most unforgiving, most beautiful, and most absurdly difficult way to make a watch dial that humans have ever devised. Grand Feu literally means great fire, and that name is not poetic exaggeration, it's a warning. Unlike Champleve or Paillon techniques, Grand Feu enamel lets you spend 15 hours on a single dial, fire it in a kiln at 850 degrees Celsius, and watch beautiful flames erupt from the surface as the vitreous enamel powder burns off, only to pull it out and discover a hairline crack that sends the whole thing straight into the reject bin. Here's the brutal part though, that's not a bad day, that's Tuesday. Let me give you some real numbers that will make your head spin. When Lange Söhne commissioned Grand Feu enamel dials from Donzé Cadrans for their Langematic Anniversary back in 1999, the rejection rate hit upwards of 90%. They made 100 dials to get 10 good ones. Claude-Éric John, the director of Donzé Cadrans, confirms that even under normal circumstances, 60 to 75% of dials don't survive to completion. That's not a failure of skill, that's the nature of the beast. Anita Porchet, winner of the Prix Gaia and the most celebrated living enamel artist in the world, puts it perfectly. It's a craft that we try to master, but we have to accept that there is a part of it we cannot control. It's the fire that decides. The fire decides, not you. So what exactly makes this process so brutally difficult? Let's walk through it step by step. Enamel starts as powdered glass, made from silica mixed with compounds like red lead and soda ash. You heat these raw materials in a melting pot until they form a colorless, crystal-like liquid, then introduce specific elements to create color. Iron gives you gray, chromium gives you green, iodine creates a fiery red. The resulting material gets ground into an incredibly fine powder. Now here is where things get interesting and where everything starts going wrong. An artisan takes a thin metal base, usually copper for more accessible pieces or gold for high-end work, and carefully applies a layer of this vitreous enamel powder mixed with water. They slide it into a kiln heated to somewhere between 750 and 850 degrees Celsius. Each firing lasts only 30 to 90 seconds. When they pull it out, the powder has fused into glass. But one layer isn't enough. You need 5, 6, sometimes 8 layers to achieve the depth and richness that makes Grand Feu enamel so mesmerizing. Every single firing presents another chance for disaster. Cracks, bubbles, warping, color inconsistencies. Even the weather outside can ruin everything. Humidity changes and temperature shifts. These invisible forces can fracture or blemish a dial that was perfect 30 seconds ago. Here's the detail that really gets me though. The color of the enamel powder in the bottle isn't the color it will be after firing. The color after firing isn't the color it will be after cooling. The final hue only reveals itself once the dial reaches room temperature. The artist has to know what that final color will be before they even start mixing. That's not science. That's decades of intuition burned into muscle memory. The entire process takes an experienced enamelist from 8 to 15 hours for a standard dial. A cloison dial, where tiny gold wires create cells filled with different colored enamels, takes from 50 to 60 hours. The most complex pieces can take up to a year. This craft stretches back 3,500 years. The earliest enamel artifacts trace back to Mycenae around 1425 BC, but it was in the late 16th century and the early 17th century that artisans in Geneva and Blois began applying the technique to pocket watches. Masters like Pierre Wode and Jean Toutain perfected the art. When Protestant enamelers were driven out of France after 1685, Geneva absorbed that talent and became the undisputed center of enamel artistry. For centuries, this tradition thrived. Craftsmen like Jean-Marc Vacheron, Pierre-Jacques Droz, and Abraham Louis Breguet used enameling to create some of the most beautiful timepieces ever made. Then came the 20th century. In 1970, Geneva's School of Decorative Arts closed its last enameling class. The quartz crisis of the 1980s nearly finished what neglect had started. About 30 years ago, the art of Grand Feu enamel dial making was genuinely thought to be lost. It wasn't, but it came terrifyingly close. The survival of this craft owes everything to a handful of stubborn, brilliant people. Francis Donzé founded Donzé Cadrans in 1972 in Le Locle in the Swiss Jura watchmaking region, and he kept the tradition alive through the darkest years. Donzé, himself a trained enamelist, recognized that without institutional support the knowledge would disappear entirely. His company, later acquired by Ulysse Nardin in 2011, remains one of the world's premier sources for enamel dials, producing only 1,200 to 1,500 dials per year. They are still the go-to workshop when Swiss museums need antique dials restored because the process has not changed. The technique used today is identical to the one used 300 years ago. That's why restored pieces retain their value. You are not repairing the dial. You are making it new using the same fire and the same methods. And then there's Anita Porchet. Born in La Chaux-de-Fonds, the heart of the Swiss watchmaking region, she learned the foundations of her art at the age of 12 from her godfather, an engraver and gem setter. She began her career in 1988, opened her own workshop in 1994, and has since worked with Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, Hermès, and Chanel. In 2017, she shared the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève Special Jury Prize with her mentor, the legendary Suzanne Rohr. Porchet said something that haunts me. We're no longer capable of doing the kind of work we see in museums. Think about that. The greatest living practitioner of this art looks at pieces from the 18th century and says, we can't match them anymore. But there's a flip side to this story, and it's genuinely exciting. Over the past few years, a wave of independent brands has been making Grand Feu enamel more accessible than ever. Scotland's Ordain built its entire reputation on in-house fume enamel dials. Louis Erard offers Grand Feu pieces for under 5,000 Swiss francs. Newcomers like Selton are bringing genuine Grand Feu enamel watches to market for under $2,000 during launch windows. These are not compromises either. These are real enamel dials fired in real kilns with real rejection rates. Even prestigious pieces like the Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso with Grand Feu enamel dials demonstrate how this ancient technique continues to captivate modern collectors. The result of all this pain and patience creates something that printed dials, lacquer finishes, and machine-made alternatives simply cannot replicate. An enamel dial has depth, luminosity, a living quality that changes with the light. Every single one is unique, with subtle variations in color and texture that make it irreplaceable. Perhaps most remarkably, enamel is essentially immortal. It never fades. Museums display enamel pieces that are centuries old, and they shine as brilliantly today as the day they were fired. It is the kind of artistry you would expect to see in Patek Philippe's rare handcrafts collection. Someone at the rare corner described it perfectly. If gouache is the art of disciplined geometry, Grand Feu enamel is the art of controlled catastrophe. That is exactly what it is. 90% of the process gets done by hand using methods unchanged since the 17th century. The instinct and humility required cannot be programmed. This remains one of the last truly human crafts in an industry increasingly seduced by automation. Every dial that survives the fire carries the weight of all the ones that did not. So the next time you see a Grand Feu enamel dial glowing on someone's wrist, remember this: you are not just looking at a watch face, you are looking at the survivor.